This is phenomenal. The police are powerless to do anything about it.
There they go! Woo! Go, truckers, go! And the Coutts!
You want me to throw that, buddy? Oh, okay. Get ready. Get ready. Let's go get it. Hey there, everyone. Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth, out on another good old-fashioned walk and talk vlog with the dogs. I got the one and only 420 Tony here. His name is that because he was born on April 20th. If you haven't noticed, he's completely obsessed with Fetch. And then I got my other guy way over there. You probably can't see him. Kaiser Sose. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a bit of a COVID 1984 update today, guys. There's a lot going on in the world and a lot I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to try to do so in between getting the ball for this little obsessed crazy dude. So yeah, guys, today we're going to take a look at this. We have Ottawa now considering military intervention to end unlawful blockade. Authorities also warn bringing in the military carried a massive risk as they believe the protesters are armed. And this is just crazy that they would think that there might be some sort of, you know, standoff with armed protesters and the military. But really, guys, viewers of this channel shouldn't really be all that surprised right now that that they're even considering doing this with the military, because you may recall I put out this video way back in, what was this, September of 2020. This is how you condition the masses for the militarization of COVID 1984, and as you see, this is where I documented them prancing around in downtown Vancouver, essentially conditioning the masses to get used to seeing such a thing. And then it was about a year later, in April of 2021, I put out this video. It's official. COVID 1984 has been militarized. Canada on the brink of martial law. The Canadian military has been deployed to aid and eventually take over the COVID 1984 nightmare operation that is unfolding before our eyes, as more and more cases continue to wrench up the fear state on the east coast of Canada. RCMP and other police forces have refused to carry out draconian orders that violate people's rights. So now it's the military's time to shine, and I'm sure you already know as well that they absolutely cannot be trusted. If you missed this one, or even if you've seen it, I just want to remind you, Canadian military fake wolves fear campaign exposed, but you won't believe what they're doing next. And again, this expose that I showed you of how the Canadian military was using propaganda and a psychological operation through propaganda to completely scare the Canadian people. Specifically, the target was the people of Nova Scotia. And again, just more proof that they absolutely cannot be trusted moving forward. So now the Ottawa Police are considering potentially allowing them to have to deal with these, quote, unlawful protesters. So let's take a look at this. Police in Ottawa warned they may have to call in the military to disband unlawful protests in the nation's capital and a town near the U.S. border amid mounting tensions between protesters opposing COVID restrictions and local residents. And I will say, guys, the occupation that's happening, the blockade, I should say, that is currently taking place at Coutts at the border in Alberta, is potentially unlawful, whereas the gathering of protesters in the nation's capital at Parliament Hill is absolutely not whatsoever. You know, you have a lot of the residents of Ottawa complaining about these people coming into town, but when it comes to Parliament Hill, that's all of Canadians. So any Canadian from all over the country should be able to come and occupy Parliament Hill if that's what they choose to do. So yeah, pretty wild. You know, again, viewers of this channel shouldn't be surprised, but here we are. And how about those farmers at the border though? That was something, eh? The clip that we opened up this video with, that was a blockade that the RCMP had set up, and to try to stop more people from going down to the border to join in on the blockade, and they just simply drove around them. I found that one clip that was kind of funny, so I just played that in the beginning, but let's watch that again because it's worth a second look. Check it out.
This is phenomenal. The police are powerless to do anything about it.
There they go. Woo! Go, tractors, go! And the Coutts. Oh, you see him now? The cops, those cops. There they go. It's up to you. Here we go. Might as well. More the merrier. Woo!
And yeah, it just goes to show, you know, they can try to ignore this, they can try to block it and stop it, but the people will always stand up and resist and continue to fight for their fundamental freedoms and rights. And that's exactly what's going on in Canada right now. That's actually what we're dealing with on a massive scale. And now the truckers have just had the $10 million GoFundMe campaign suspended. As we see here, trucker convoy GoFundMe suspended after reaching $10.1 million. And I would actually suggest that I don't think it happened after they reached $10 million. I think it happened after this happened. When all of a sudden, one swastika flag shows up in the crowd, as we see in my video here. Trudeau tests positive for coward 19 as truckers settle in for the long haul, and agent provocateurs exposed. And of course, that's all they needed was one white supremacist, one Nazi flag in order to have GoFundMe completely lose it to the point of taking this down. This shouldn't be a surprise to viewers of this channel once again, because I had the same thing happen to me. You may recall in this video here, Dan Dix kicked while down, GoFundMe campaign removed, $7,000 stolen from PFT. Well, what happened there, guys, is this BLM mob who attacked me, at which point I got arrested, were claiming that I was this white supremacist with absolutely, obviously, no kind of proof or any, it's not founded in anything. But all it took was someone to complain to GoFundMe and to just say, hey, this particular campaign is dealing with a white supremacist. You need to shut it down. And they do so. And they just hear that word. They're like, what? White supremacy? Raising money? No. Without doing their due diligence and looking into whether or not I'm actually who they say I am. And that's what we just saw happen. And now, guys, we have this city councillor from Ottawa who says the GoFundMe must be cut off, the cash of freedom, from mercenaries.
I want to ask the mayor if he will pick up the phone and call GoFundMe in the States directly and demand that they cease and desist sending money to these unlawful protesters. And Perhaps while he's at it, he could pick up the phone and ask the Prime Minister to do the same. We've had some conversations about perhaps suing GoFundMe, but legal action takes time, and this is urgent. We need to cut off the pipeline of funding to these people that are unlawfully mercenaries, if you will, that are unlawfully protesting and occupying our communities.
So, following that little rant she had, it looks like the whole thing was eventually shut down. And you know, it reminds me again of what happened to me back at the BLM rally, and it also reminds me of what Trudeau recently said about how he's aligning himself with you know, the BLM protesters, but he won't do so with the truckers. And so I recently put this out on Twitter. I said Trudeau aligns himself with BLM because they demand that the government does something for them, and he loves a nanny state. Whereas Trudeau won't align himself with the truckers because they want to be left the hell alone, which is the one thing that he fears the most. And indeed, that is the case. You know, he wants everybody to be, well, his government, I should say, wants everybody to be counting on them for every little thing, whereas, as I often say, the biggest enemy of the state is a free, independent, you know, thinker, somebody who's able to live self-sufficiently and not reliant on, not be reliant on the banks or, you know, the government at all, really, for that matter. So, yeah, I threw that one out there on Twitter the other day, and now I just came across this from Scott Moe. He says here, is it time to end the COVID-19 84 restrictions? Hear what I think. And I'm hearing from the Saskatchewan people, and he just uploaded this maybe 5-minute clip or so to Twitter. So I'm going to show you a few clips from that because, you know, I do think it might potentially come down to the provinces. You know, they are trying to regulate this federally, but even Trudeau himself have said that when it comes to the mandates, it'll come down to the individual provinces. So, you know, occupying Parliament Hill in Ottawa is great and all, but I think people need to focus on their local communities, like we're seeing here in British Columbia with an a trucker convoy rally that's going to be going on this weekend at Parliament in Victoria. So I think that's what we need to focus on moving forward. But yeah, I think the Premier of Alberta there did a pretty good job laying out some of the issues.
Hi everyone. There's been a lot of discussion lately about whether it's time for us in Saskatchewan to look at ending all of the remaining COVID measures and restrictions that we have in place. Well, I think it is time. That's what I am hearing, and that's what our MLAs are hearing from most of their constituents. Now, that's not because COVID has ended. It most certainly hasn't. It's because people understand it better. They understand what they need to do. They understand the risk, and they are prepared to live with that risk more than they are prepared to live with the ongoing government intrusion into their lives. Remember when this first started so very long ago? Government measures were supposed to last, I think, 2 weeks. Well, it's been 2 years. 2 years of some of the most challenging times for this province, and quite frankly, some of the most challenging times that this world has seen. So that brings us to today. It's time for us to have an honest conversation about COVID and our path forward. I'm concerned that COVID being the constant topic of conversation and dictating our daily lives will have a negative long-term impact on each of us in this province. It calls for daily government intrusion into people's lives, skepticism regarding anything remotely positive that is related to COVID. This perpetual state of crisis is having a harmful impact on everyone. For example, I heard this recently. I did everything right, and I still got COVID. Well, COVID is a virus. It's a highly transmissible virus that many people are contracting. In its current form, both vaccinated and unvaccinated people are getting it, and they're getting it at virtually the same rate. So to be clear, if you get COVID, you did nothing wrong. It's just impossible for you or anyone to eliminate all of the risk. But here's the positive news. Because now in Saskatchewan, so many people are now vaccinated, and because Omicron seems to be much less severe than previous strains, yes, more people are getting Omicron, but they aren't getting as sick. We may continue to see COVID morph into different variants and forms in the coming months and years, but we need to end the perpetual state of crisis. Recently, we dropped the requirements for close contacts to self-isolate, and you've heard me now many times talk about ending the proof of vaccination system in our province. Other provinces and other countries are also having this very important conversation about how they are going to move forward living with COVID. In the coming days and weeks, the government of Saskatchewan will be taking a number of steps to manage COVID in the same way that we manage other communicable diseases and seasonal viruses that we deal with in our communities each and every year. So what does this all mean for us? It means COVID is not ending, but government restrictions on your rights and freedoms, those will be ending, and ending very soon. Travel, go to work, have dinner with your friends, go to the movies, go to your kids' games, most importantly. You should do all of these things without constantly assessing if your every activity is absolutely necessary. What's necessary is your freedom. What's necessary is getting your life back to normal, and it's time.
So anyways, guys, that's just some of the stuff I wanted to bring to your attention today. Of course, lots going on in the COVID 1984 nightmare, but that doesn't mean we can't be continuously focusing on what we need to do moving forward, which, as I always said, is to number one, get yourself out of debt. You know, when you are in debt, you have credit cards and line of credit and mortgages and all this, you know, all it takes is for the banksters to up the rates, you know, and there's actually talk of the Fed upping rates very soon. So that's all it takes. So you really need to get yourself out of debt, and just so you can not be relying on the banks or the grocery stores or the government for that matter whatsoever. So yeah, just wanted to bring all that to your attention today, guys. It's a beautiful day here with my boys. This is Kaiser Sose. He is not interested in playing fetch. He's my little Havanese, 6-year-old Havanese. And then there's Tony, 420 Tony, who, as I said, was born on April 20th. Looks like he lost the ball. Might have to go try to find that for him. But, you know, he's having a good time just looking for it. Oh, got it. All right, bud. Okay, guys. One last throw for fun. For him, and for you, and for me. Okay, buddy. We're going far with this one. Ready? Let's go! Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to click that thumbs up button. Share this video with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.